everyone needs to know this. Everyone needs to know this.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I think we're taught to accept insanity as a status quo. If you want to keep people operating below their potential, tell them it's supposed to be shitty.
We've been conditioned to believe that making big money means grinding ourselves into exhaustion, that success requires struggle, and that we as women must sacrifice other areas in our lives in order to be successful. But what if that's just an outdated story that no longer needs to be true for us? My guest today is living proof that you can create 8-figure wealth without burnout, without stress, and without sacrificing your peace, health, or time with your family. She's a Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur, a TEDx speaker, and she's cracked the code on making money flow in a way that actually feels good and does good. And on top of that, Chloe is one of my closest friends. She's one of my besties. I've witnessed firsthand how she's built a life of true abundance while wearing her Elmo pajamas most of the time. And I cannot tell you how honored I am to bring her here today to share her wealth of knowledge with us. Today, Chloe is pulling back the curtain and sharing her 4 core principles with us that are completely shifting the way women are building wealth so that you can embody them for yourself and step into your next level with more ease, with more balance, with more alignment, and with more purpose. Are you ready? Hi, Chloe.
Hi. Girl, my jaw hurts. I'm cheesing so hard.
How was that experience for you to hear your own introduction?
I have actually heard myself, this is going to sound cocky and I don't mean it to. I've heard myself introduced often and I usually dissociate because sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. But with yours, when you said to our community here, like, get ready to hear the new way of building wealth, it just felt like my sole purpose fully lit up. And to be seen in that way, especially as someone who didn't grow up with wealth, it was such a full circle moment for me that I just had to say thank you first and foremost, because it was so unexpectedly nourishing for me. So I just had to say thank you because that was gorgeous.
I love that. You're doing it.
Thank you.
Little Chloe would be so proud.
She is so proud.
So actually, I've done an intro, but I think what this intro didn't include was more about you as an individual. If you want to share your story of what brought you to who you are today.
Sure. So, when I think about what's brought me to this point, the first thing I always think of is my family. If anyone ever asks me who I look up to, it's them. And when I think about what my grandparents and what my lineage has gone through to allow me to breathe, to allow me to have more opportunity, to allow me to experience freedom and access in ways that they never saw, maybe even in their lifetimes, I'm just so grateful. My mom immigrated to the US in her early 20s. And it was just for school. She didn't come with a ton of money. Her family was like all working and contributing to help her like pay her tuition. And on my dad's side, my grandfather, he was born in the US and born into what we had called sharecropping, which was like a modern day version of slavery, right? So that's my grandpa who I grew up with, who was born into a modern day version of slavery. My dad was born in the US during the early 60s. So he grew up in like when schools were still segregated. So like to see, my lineage do and fight for the things they did. I think I grew up with a lot of cultural and familial wealth. I grew up with a lot of connection. I grew up with a lot of love and gratitude to just be alive, right? We, however, did not grow up with financial wealth. So as it relates to like the things you need to be a well-rounded human, I think I got that in spades, right? From my people. But as it relates to having the kind of safety that comes with stable or even like abundant finances, we didn't have that. And so fast forward, my parents have always been the kind of people that even when we had so little, they would still give someone else the literal shirt off their back. Like they were always so generous and so kind. And so it got to a point where I had to ask myself, how could people who were so good-hearted and so hardworking and had all the values in the right order and priority as possible, like how could they have so much stress related to finances? And that's when I kind of got to this point of realizing being a good person does not always translate into financial stability. Being hardworking didn't always translate into financial abundance. And so when I got to university, I made it my mission to figure out, how do I solve this so that other families don't have to struggle the way mine struggled? Other good-hearted families who, again, equally talented and loving and caring and hardworking, how could we help everyone have the same opportunities? When I graduated college, I was one of the first in my family to graduate. And my grandfather, that was like his dream come true. So he's there at my college graduation, just living it up, right? And it was like the first time I think I realized he was aging, which is goofy. This man was in his 70s, and it's like the first time it clicked for me that he was getting older.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that at that point, even though I was the first to do this great thing and had met so many goals, I knew that if my grandfather passed at that point, we would struggle to afford a funeral. And it broke my entire heart to think about my family grieving this man who is basically, it feels like if there's, you know how you have your immediate family? My grandpa feels like that for us. So yeah. It broke my heart to think about the fact that we couldn't afford a funeral, and we'd have to choose between fully grieving and honoring him and affording to, like, figuring out how to afford that. Yeah. That's what kickstarted my journey to figuring out personal wealth and not just like community opportunity. So fast forward, I made it my mission to learn. It wasn't my mission to be out front. It was my mission to learn and serve. And that just turned into me building 2 nonprofits that were both 8-figure companies. I raised over $250 million to get both of those fully funded. And I'm super excited that both of those companies still exist. They passed the 5-year mark. And along the way, I did come to the place where my grandfather transitioned. It was in April of 2023. And when he did, my family not only didn't have to worry about a funeral, but I had like my first 6-figure month in my new company that I own, building for myself. And I was mostly out of office at that time. And to go from moments in my life where we needed government assistance to have food on the table, to being able to honor the man who is like my first superhero while bringing in my first 6-figure month of my own, and being at his bedside most of the time while he transitioned. Wow. I got to have my priorities in order. I got to put my family first. I got to put my health and healing first. And I still had a 6+ figure month. And that's when I realized that you can have it all. Like, you need the right strategies and systems, but you really can live into your values and have holistic wealth. Like, you can have the family connection, the deep health. You can have the financial abundance. You can have it all. You just need, again, the right system and priorities to make it happen.
What a journey. What a story. And, you know, the things that you've overcome, the generational patterns that you've broken, taking all of the most beautiful resources that you did inherit and building on top of them. Yeah. And the fact that your current business is helping other women to do that. Yeah, you really are living into your purpose, girl.
Thank you. I received that. I really appreciate it.
I want to pick your brain because I know that there are so many people watching this. I'm excited for them to get access to the things that you've learned along the way to building multiple 8-figure businesses, and especially most recently the way you're doing it now that involves no burnout, balance in your life, not a calendar that's stacked out with things. When I messaged you the other day, you were just like, oh, I'm out of office today. I've got a friend visiting. And I was like, yes, she lives and breathes what she teaches. I certainly used to have this limiting belief in thinking that, whoa, somebody who's building business on that kind of scale, they must have no life. They must just be waking up at 3, 4, 5 a.m., sacrificing weekends and all that stuff. So I'm so in love with The chats that we have when they're not recorded, by the way, the reason why we're doing this video is because we were like, we need to record one of these, because imagine if people were listening to some of the stuff that we share with each other and some of the stuff that you've taught me. So I'm sure this will be the first of more videos to come. But why don't we focus on what you have defined as the 4 core principles that every person, every woman needs who wants to build her dream business. And dream business isn't just referring to a dream amount of money in a bank account. It's referring to building a business that also actually gives you the quality of life that you're after as well, right? Please walk us through what would be the first core principle?
Before I get into the 4 principles, and I'm so glad you asked me about them because they were game changing for me, I just want to say that, you know, if you want the kind of freedom-based life and the big dreams you want to go after, I do think entrepreneurship done really well is the right vehicle for it. Because the thing with entrepreneurship and owning your own business is that when you are able to own what I call your means of production, which is when you work, how you work, what you charge, and how much you keep, it is the biggest game changer out there. Right? It's like you can have all these big, beautiful visions and dreams, but if you only have a few hours left over in your day after you've done anything else to go and pursue them, it's really difficult to say, or to step into like a different way of setting your priorities. And my first thing I will tell people is that your number one focus, if you're not yet a business owner, is to figure out how to own your time. So I'm going to walk through these 4 principles, but please remember that this is undergirded with the notion that you own your time first, and then you can go through these principles. The first one is that you have to get clear on what your dream life actually looks like, right? Because the truth is you do have a dream life. And I mean the dream life that if you knew everything were possible, if you knew you had a magic wand and all your responsibilities were taken care of, what would that life look like? Get really granular about the detail with which you envision your future life, and then you put a price tag to it. Getting really clear about how you want to spend your time in this one precious life that we're gifted, it is the first thing that anyone needs to do to start a business.
The fact that you're going into that extra level of detail of knowing, okay, I want to be able to live in this part of the world and live in that kind of house and drive that kind of car and you know, give my parents that much money per month and or like retire my husband or whatever the things might be, then putting that down in specific numbers. I mean, that's certainly, I would say, the key that got me to create and actually manifest a lot of my goals, like the material side of goals, is that as soon as I sat down and got clear on like, okay, well, how much is that? Then you can make a plan. So I love that. You said starting with the end in mind. I've read here on your notes.
Absolutely.
And that's what we talk about when it comes to manifestation, right? Is live in the end, fast forward, fast track yourself to that vision of where do you want to be? What's the kind of reality that you want to walk into?
And I also have to say, because I think sometimes I even feel this like slipping into my mindset, is that sometimes when we do clarify the vision, it can feel so big that it might scare us. Right? Or it might feel like, well, I will never get there. And I just want to encourage people who are a little hesitant to do this exercise to remember that you are gifted vision to help you have a North Star, not to create a set of standards that you're supposed to measure yourself up against today or in this very moment. Or even like your vision is not to say, what's like, is this possible for me? Your vision is to give you direction that lights your heart up, and you'll figure everything else out along the way. And I promise you, there's stuff that you've already been through and already overcome that was much more difficult than the steps ahead of you. So remember that you do got this. And just because you have this gorgeous vision that's not possible immediately today, that doesn't mean it's not for you, and it doesn't mean you won't achieve it. But we do have to articulate it so that we know which direction to walk in and how many no's we need to say. Because I think it's like the subtext to all of this is you have to figure out the few yeses and the many, many no's to help you stay focused on the path that's your healthiest and highest. So yeah, I'm really big on holding that vision but not holding it so tight that it puts you into paralysis.
Yeah, saying no to the things that aren't in alignment with where you're going. So important and not always easy.
Yeah.
Especially for the people pleasers among us.
100%. I'm like, that's a whole different YouTube video we can get into.
Right?
Girl, I have so many no's that I've said that hurt because I was like, I cannot believe I'm saying no to this. But it gave me so much more. Every time it gives me so much more. So yeah, I'm big on the holy no.
What was it? I heard a quote that said something like the difference between a billionaire and a millionaire is that billionaires say no more often than millionaires do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first heard that, I was like, what? I had this misconception that they must be yes people that say yes to literally every opportunity, but it's actually more about refining the focus and eliminating distractions, eliminating shiny objects, and just going all in.
Absolutely. I know I don't mean to like jump ahead, but this is perfect to pillar number 2, which is to optimize your business plan.
I think we're ready. Let's dive into number 2.
Okay, beautiful, because I think we are mistaught strategy. I think that in education systems across many different developed nations, we are taught how to be really good factory workers. And this is, my background's actually in education and education reform, and most of our school systems were from like World War II and the reaction to needing factory workers, right? So because we were taught that success comes from us just doing the thing, we were not taught the strategy of ownership. We were taught the strategies of effort. And effort will always have the baked in constraint or the baked in limitation of how many hours you have in one day, right? Whereas when you are a business owner, one of the things that you can activate is if you have people who are working with you, who you like beautifully take care of and compensate abundantly and care for wonderfully. It's no longer just your effort, but it is a team of people's effort that can help you achieve your dreams and theirs. And so when I think about the second core principle, which is, okay, within this big dream life, you figured out how you want to spend your time. Now let's figure out which of those things that you want to spend your time doing do you want to categorize as how you will make money, right? There are a lot of things I enjoy doing. Baby, I love to crochet. I love arts and crafts, okay? I love being in my Elmo pajamas. I love hanging out with my pets, right? None of those things will be what I monetize, right?
Right.
What I believe is my highest contribution to other people is my gifts of strategy, building businesses, helping people take care of themselves holistically, and learning how to pour into our communities or people who do not have as much as we do in this time or in this moment without burning ourselves out, right? Those are the kinds of things that I want to spend my time doing. And I believe that in exchange for that gift, I will receive compensation. So my business plan is aligned with what I love doing. It's also aligned with what I want to turn into a business and put the structure and strategy around it. So not everything I love turns into my business. And then within that, now that I know which things I want to turn into a business, and I'm clear that this is something I will commit to for, like, let's say a 10-year time horizon, I then have certain requirements on that thing to figure out how to turn it into a business, right? Because I could be a business consultant and I could go in and say, Lucie, I'm going to be your right-hand person and help you build your business. And I could dedicate all my time to Lucie, right? I could also apply those same skills and go work for a multinational corporation. I could apply those same skills and teach. I could create one course and sell it to thousands, tens of thousands of people. It's the same core skills, but applied in different ways. Mm-hmm. So when I'm teaching people how to optimize their business plan, it's first, what are you passionate about? Amongst your passions, which of these things makes the most business sense? Meaning, like, what are people asking for? What are they looking for? What do you feel like you can get people the best results in? And then from there, it's what of these things will be highly profitable and highly scalable? Those are things that people, I think, so often do not consider from day one. And I don't want to say that it comes to bite you in the butt because, I mean, I think everything teaches you. But I think if you can consider profitability, scalability, and what people are currently asking for from day one, you position yourself to have a business that grows so beautifully without requiring your effort to just balloon in scope. I'll just define the word scalable because I think that it's a jargon term that a lot of people throw around and people don't really define it, which I think is funny. But scaling a business and growing a business are different. Growth just means more volume, right? Scaling means the ability to do more at a lower cost. So per every unit of effort you put out or product you put out, does it cost you less to manufacture it the more you do? That's what scale is, right? So when I think about a business that's scalable, I want my clients or the people I teach to build something that can keep growing without it requiring more effort on their part. It will require different kinds of effort, but not more. Imagine that, and this is an example I use in Genius Lab Excel. So imagine that you are a very talented consultant and you charge $10,000 per client and you have 10 clients a month, right? These are just easy numbers for me to do math in my head, okay? So that's $10,000, 10 clients a month. You've got a 6-figure month. Times that by 12, you have a 7-figure year. And for each of those 10 clients, let's say you're working with them one-on-one each week for an hour. That's a 10-hour, let's call it 20 for admin work and marketing, etc. You're working a part-time schedule, making 6-figure months. I say that because that was my math. Like I did do that. That's not a hypothetical, right? However, when I got to a place of, and I won't go super detailed into this because I know it's a YouTube video, not like, a full day conference, but let's just say when I got to the point of readiness to grow and bring a team in, I knew from day one that Chloe can serve 10 clients at $10,000, and that's great. Chloe could also serve 10 staff members who each serve 10 clients, who each have a portfolio of $100,000. So from the same effort of serving 10 people, I could either have a $100,000 a month or have 10 staff members who each have a $100,000 a month, making the company $1 million a month. Right? The difference in that is not Chloe going into exhaustion. It's Chloe switching role from being practitioner to being CEO, right? And that's what happens when you can build a business that is scalable, high profit, and I didn't mention this parameter from the start, but low cost to start, right? Mm-hmm. So many people, everybody listening here has a beautiful skill set that they could go and create a beautiful, wonderful business out of that does not cost you money to start. Right? So like physical products take capital to start, they take inventory space to start, manufacturer relationships, etc. Like there's a lot there. And I think people should do that once they've built an 8-figure company and can basically light that money on fire and never see it again. Right? But when people are starting out, I think having a low cost to start scalable business aligned with your passions, that's everything.
In today's world, it's never been more possible. There's never been more
right?
options with technology. I mean, my business I started without having to without having to get a bank loan or anything, using your voice, using technology, which is so exciting. It's so empowering to think that the opportunity to build the business that you want is more available, more accessible to people. Pretty much if you've got the technology required to watch this
video,
you're good.
Watch this.
So I love that. And what you were saying is so expansive. I mean, let us know in the comments, anybody else who's brainstorming and ticking in a way where you're thinking about, instead of just thinking about it in this one way that was perhaps all I knew or all I was taught, because we don't get taught these kinds of things at school, your definition of the difference between growth and scalability is like, everyone needs to know this. Everyone needs to know this, because in order for us to break out of or to break past ceilings that maybe we felt we've continuously been hitting, doing the same thing and expecting different results is the definition of insanity, as Einstein once said. I often talk about you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and when you're having conversations with people who've built incredible things, you just get access to different information. Do you know what I mean? So I'm so glad that we can bring these kind of conversations onto the channel. Yeah, your zone of genius, from what I've experienced, really is being able to listen to what someone's passion is, what someone's maybe current existing business is, and then from the outside, but with all of your experience and knowledge, refine or offer alternative ways that somebody could 10x the revenue with the same kind of level of timetable, or even by doing less sometimes.
And can I just say, like, a moment of transparency? In the last company I was in, where I was leading, it was a $32 million company. I took it from just me to 130 plus staff members in 18 months, 10 different departments. It's the thing that got me named Forbes 30 under 30. So prestigious, right? I make at least 2 or 3 times my old annual salary every month in this business than I did in that business. And I'm working literally a fourth of the time. And the difference is leverage. The difference is also leverage and ownership. I own this one. The other one, I wanted the community to own it. It got people who were really in need the resources faster. I would never go back and change that decision. But now that I own my own company, and again, I own when I work, how I work, what I charge, and what I keep, it has made a huge difference in my life. And I mean, there are like 8 things I want to respond to that you said, but I won't do all of them. I will just say 2. One is that, with your business, Lucie, you have changed so many people's trajectories, and I don't fully know if you get thanked enough for what you've done. And I think sometimes when people hear like start a business and make your dreams come true, like you don't fully realize the impact you will have on other people. Like one of your YouTube videos that I listened to changed the trajectory of how I see my own spiritual work. And it's like when I think about Lucie deciding to put her passions out there and to be a teacher, to be a spiritual education guide for so many people who didn't have those tools, you've changed my life. And I'm just so lucky that we're friends, but also the fact that you choose to teach and make that your business, there's no more nourishing exchange than you being aligned in your soul's passion and changing other people's soul trajectory, right? So please, for anybody listening, remember that the thing you care about also will help other people who really need you, right? And it is the reciprocity of like you are giving something that will change people's lives, and they are giving you something that changes your life. That is nourishing exchange, right?
Yes.
So that's number 1. And number 2, you said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I just want to say, I fully agree with that. And I think we're taught to accept insanity as a status quo. I think we are even encouraged and rewarded to accept insanity as a status quo, meaning we're taught and rewarded to say, well, it's just going to be hard. It's just going to be lonely. You're just going to have to grind it out for decades before you see the results. And that's really good messaging if you want to keep people in a workforce, right? If you want to keep people operating below their potential, tell them it's supposed to be shitty. Well, I don't know if I can cuss. Sorry.
Yeah, go for
But
it.
tell them, tell them it's supposed to be shitty. Tell them that's just what it is, right? Tell them life's just supposed to be hard. And tell people to just eat crow, right? But I promise you, as someone who has seen and felt real suffering and has lived in poverty and has dealt with real mental health crises and issues, I've seen the really hard parts and I've seen the real abundance. And I promise you, they're both real and they're both available and accessible and an option for you. And I'm not saying that if you're suffering, it's your choice. But I am saying there's absolutely different systems and ways of being for all of us. And I do believe that mastering the inner work like Lucie teaches and applying ourselves in the right kind of vehicle, such as ethical entrepreneurship, it can gift you everything you're wanting and more. It's okay. I had to respond to those 2 things because they were just like lighting me up.
Thank you.
Of course.
And, actually what you were just saying there about the inner work that Lucie teaches, when you marry that with the outer work, the infrastructure of business work that you teach, it's just a match made in heaven, just like we are.
I mean, don't call us twin flames, but
What is it like? Say you're a twin flame without saying you're a twin flame.
Literally.
I'm not up with all the memes, but something like that. It sounds kind of memey.
Look, I was going with it. I didn't know if that was real or not, but I was like, yeah. I was going to hype my girl.
While we're loving on each other, I think actually now would be a really great time for me to tell everybody about the thing that you've offered for everyone watching.
Yeah, I love it.
So Chloe and I were chatting the other day, and as you can tell, she is such an expert at what she does. She is transforming so many women's lives, helping them to scale their businesses while having more work-life balance and pouring more into them. Like we've been talking about this word about overflow, creating a business that fills up your cup so much that then you can pour out overflow to your family, to your friends, over your own life, into your communities, to the causes that you're passionate about, and all of that. Like, ringing on my bells, girl. Chloe has agreed to actually do a free training for all of us on what she does, how she does it, how to create the blueprint, essentially, to turn your dream life into a plan.
Yeah.
And what you need to do, how you need to do it in a way where you're not going to feel on your own, burnt out, or up to your eyeballs in work every single day. We'll put the details down below, right? I'll put a link in the description. Go and check it out now. Run to the link. Reserve your spot on the free training with my girl Chloe. I'll be there too, taking notes. And we can learn together.
Yes. And I'm so excited, you guys. I know y'all don't know me as well yet, but please know your girl is a certified nerd, okay? We are going to work this session. This is not one of those, like, sit and just kind of hear something interesting. We have to get to work. So I'm going to go ahead and even tell you, for the people who show up live, I will give you all the presentation slides, so you don't have to worry about, like, scribbling what I have put together. But I do need you to show up ready to take notes on your own thoughts, your own insights, your own reactions. So make sure you bring paper, pen, get your keyboard out, etc., because we're going to be getting to work. So this is a training that kind of feels like a workshop as well. And I need you to leave with results, not just interesting thoughts or ideas. I need you fired up. I need you seeing and buzzing in your own potential. And I need you to walk away with an action plan. So that's big for me, is action plan. So please show up. I know it's going to be a phenomenal training. I've done it a couple times before in the past. And when I tell you what people walk away from the training, I had one person message me the other day. Lucie, I hadn't told you this yet. And she was like, from the advice you gave, I signed a 6-figure client. Girl, I was like, I need to take my own advice again. Like,
Look at my slides.
I know, I was like going back there. I said, girl, what'd I say? But yeah, like, people really do walk away with real results that are tangible and also feeling aligned in our values. Yeah. That's huge for me. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to connect with your community. I've also loved getting to just watch how y'all love Lucie from behind the scenes. Like, I'm really big on, you got to protect your friends, but, like, I don't have to protect her in y'all's community, because y'all are so loving and kind. So I can't wait to be
have the best
in community together. Yeah.
They're the best.
Yeah, y'all are really awesome. Okay, wait. Can I talk about the third pillar?
Yeah. Let's dive into that. That was a digression, but it was a good one.
No, I love it so much. And we're going to even go deeper on this in the training. But the third piece here, and this is for all of my people who are used to being the A student, who are used to just being the one who put the best work out in class, etc. It does not matter if you're the best at what you do if no one knows about it. Okay? So the third pillar of this, you have to have a marketing and sales plan that you actually follow. You have to have a marketing and sales system that is dialed in. Okay? And a marketing and sales system that genuinely feels like authentic service to the people you care about, authentic service to the people who are your ideal clients, and no gimmicks, no tricks, nothing that feels sleazy, right? Because if it feels out of your integrity, you won't do it, because you're a good person, which is great, right? We want you to remain a good person. And that said, your marketing and sales strategies can't just be any strategy you see out there online. My husband has made it part of his life's mission to send me reels of the nonsense bro sales advice that he sees on Instagram. And I'm not going to name no names because I don't want to be shady. But the amount of reels I get of men just yelling at each other, saying, well, if somebody told you your wife was going to die today, you'd sell 10 cars. And it's like, what? Like that, what? That we're not doing that. Okay? That doesn't work. It also costs way too much cortisol in your body.
I was going to say.
And will have you dying of a heart attack at like 40.
Yeah, my nervous system can't handle that kind of daily gun against head sort of threat. No thanks. I want to be floating. I want to be burning sage. I want to be cozy. I want to have my nice drink. I want my ethereal high frequency music on so that I'm in the right vibrational place to show up for my business. I don't need no threats to get me going.
talking about if your wife was in danger, boy, bye. No, we don't need that, right? Like, I think, I'll be so honest with you. I think that hustle culture, scare tactics, false urgency, all of those things are actually coping mechanisms for a lack of business acumen. I think if your product was better and what you did was more transformative, you wouldn't have to throw your nervous system into literal fight, flight, death type style, combat style, working 24/7 style. If you just had something that was really good and people wanted it and it got people good results, you wouldn't have to worry about that. One of what I believe are my superpowers and that I share with my clients is that my marketing secret strategy is being honest. That's it. All I have to do, all that is required of me in my business is to tell the truth. Be healthily transparent and tell people exactly what it is. I do not fluff things up. I do not overstate things. And in fact, I underpromise and overdeliver every single time. And that's what I mean when you have a dialed in marketing and sales system. One of the things that I don't like flex material things, right? I just don't believe in the culture flexing, etc. Except for this one exception, which is that my flex is that people who will never pay me a dime are still edified by what I put out. They are still served and supported by any sales process or any marketing process that they come across related to Chloe Hackett Moore. The fact that people will get goodness no matter what, whether they pay me a dime or not, is one of the things I'm most proud of. And it's also one of the things that I think is a trademark or characteristic of a dialed in and aligned business.
Then it feels good. It feels good for you.
Does.
It feels good for the people on the receiving end. We talk here about feminine energy and masculine energy, and it's not that feminine energy is what women have and masculine energy is what men have.
Right.
Like, we can both possess both. We can both build business with both.
Yeah.
If anything, it's healthy to have a healthy balance of both. But when it's all in the masculine energy, all in the hustle and the grind,
Yeah.
it can yield certain results for certain people and in a certain way. But certainly what I resonate with more, and the way that I know we both like to build our businesses, is by having a healthy dose of that feminine energy flowing through us and flowing through our business, which looks like genuinely caring about clients and having compassion and understanding for them, being vulnerable, raw and authentic, because we know that that's what people need to see more of, because that's what's going to inspire and empower them that they can do it too, rather than bullying people into doing the things or getting the results, right?
Yeah.
So, and it looks like so many other things as well, and being able to create consistently requires, for me anyway, being dialed into my energy and speaking in a way that is real and authentic, because you can only fake it for so long without burning out or losing the plot completely. And it just feels so much easier and more natural to build business in that way. So as always, we're just singing from the same hymn sheet. I just love what you're saying.
I love that. And I also think, Luce, like, the cost of lying to your spirit just aren't worth any amount of money. Like, the way that, like, when you weaken your own integrity with self, your whole quality of life changes, right? So, like, even if you could fake it forever with other people, you fundamentally change in ways that are harmful, right? So I won't get too deep into this or into like how I see so many marketers using trauma fuel to drive their sales. But I will say that if you want something sustainable, something that lasts, something that can feed you and your family for generations, not just for a season, having your priorities that you would have to make you a healthy and good human are the same priorities that will show up in your business, your marketing, your sales. Those same principles of spirit showing up in your marketing and sales will also make all of these things sustainable and nourish you. It won't require depletion. And I think it's such a big difference that if we all stepped into it, all of our health and wealth would be better.
So many times when we are working on our money mindset, it's about debunking limiting beliefs that we may have picked up, that people are filthy rich, or money's the root of all evil, or all of these kind of like negative verbiage around being wealthy. And as much as we say like, yeah, don't think that, think these more positive thoughts about it, actually the best way to retrain our mind to believe that actually money is a beautiful overflow of an abundant, full and healthy spirit, and the more money we have, the more people we can help, and all of these more positive beliefs, the best way to believe it is to do it that way, to be it, to become it, and to help more people to learn actually how to build wealth in a way that's ethical, that's good, that benefits people, that's not sleazy or scammy or anything like that. And I think the more that women can know and hear of and imagine ways that they can build wealth for themselves that doesn't make them a bad, sleazy person, the more they're going to feel safe to allow themselves to become that businesswoman. You know what I mean? Often it's like the fear of not wanting to become the bad guy that holds people away from what they want to create.
Yeah. And I think, you know, this is such a beautiful thing that I honestly think we should address in a completely separate video. But
we keep saying that.
I know. I'm like, so we should just start
this will
a channel
be 5
together.
hours long if we talk about everything.
It would. But, you know, to me, one of the biggest changes in my money mindset was when I realized money doesn't mean anything beyond what we make it mean. Money is an amplifier. It's not a determiner. So if you have greed inside, if you have unchecked pain, if you have suffering and vengeance inside, if you have scarcity inside, when you have more money, it'll show up. You see certain billionaires or close to trillionaires have so much money and yet are holding so tight and want to keep taking, you know, and like making the pie smaller for other people. You also have billionaires who are looking to expand for other people, to fund philanthropic things, right? There was a time where I was leading a task force that had people from the mayor's office, people in nonprofit leadership, etc. And I realized the group was struggling with money mindset. And I asked, as a thought exercise, if you were going to wake up today and everything was on you, all the responsibility was on you, and you had to solve homelessness in our city, what would you do? And the group starts listing off resources they would call, people they would call, who they would rally, etc. And then I asked them a follow-up, and I said, well, if you woke up today and had $10 billion in your bank account, and I charged you with the same thing of solving homelessness, what would you do? And the answer became so much more simple. They were like, well, we would pay for comprehensive health services and pay for them to be housed. And it became so much more simple. The effort was significantly less when the resources were there, and when people had the heart to solve the problem. So for all the people who might be nervous around more sales, around making more money, first of all, there's a ton of data that shows when women have more money, they're just more generous, period. Right? Like there's a ton of data that shows this, but also think like you already have the answers inside. If you have more money, like Lucie was saying earlier in the Dream Life budget, she was like, oh, putting aside money for your parents here and this here, and like kids having top school there and going on vacation here. Like people generally just want to have a good life, and for the people around them to have a good life too. And more money helps us have those choices. And I think that's what's super important to remember, is that money gives you more choices. You're the one who decides it, which is why the inner work is always the most important. Right? Keeping your values intact is always the most important.
100%. Shall we take it now to the 4th core principle?
Yes, I think it fits so perfectly as a way to round this all out, which, I mean, for your community, you guys, like this will feel like home to you. But the 4th pillar is healing into high performance, right? I think it is genuinely laughable that hustle culture exists, because I think hustle culture misunderstands what it means to be elite. Right? One of the core tenets of hustle culture is exhaustion, right? It is sacrificing sleep, the phrase, you know, you'll sleep when you're dead type thing, right? Do you know that the top performing athletes, the top performing anyone, sleep is always a non-negotiable for them, right? Like sleep and good quality sleep is a non-negotiable. Good quality sleep is a non-negotiable for your brain to function, okay? And for you to have any kind of longevity. So high performance actually requires you to take care of yourself. And I can even give you a small example. Think about how you make decisions when you're hangry versus when you're not. Think about how you make decisions when you're sleep deprived versus when you're not. Yeah. When you're anxious versus when you're not. Everything gets better. Everything is more clear. You are a better expert when you are well than when you are existing in disease or disease, right? So to me, healthy high performance looks like taking care of the fundamentals of what makes you a healthy human, right? Because, you know, when you think about the decisions you make or what you create, all of it boils down to your excellence, or the ceiling on your excellence will always come down to you and what is the quality of material that you can produce. So what I mean by this is, you know, if you're existing on fumes, what you will create will be representative of existing on fumes, right? If you are in abundance and overflow, what you create will be reflective of abundance and overflow. You have to take care of yourself like you are a high-performing athlete. And one of the things I love to dispel, does your audience know Beyonce?
Probably, I would imagine so.
Okay.
She's pretty famous.
She's like kind of famous, but whatever. Yeah, so with Beyonce, one of the things I love was this trend going around that said you have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. Baby, no you don't. Okay? For when Beyonce went on her Renaissance tour, okay, breaking all these world records, she had over 2,000 people on payroll to make that tour and her other businesses function. Beyonce the woman and Beyonce the brand are different things. Beyonce the brand had 2,000 plus staff members working at high performing levels to make it happen. You cannot compare Chloe's 24 hours to Beyonce the brand's 2,000 plus people's 24 hours, right? And I thought this was hilarious. On the tour credits for Beyonce's Renaissance tour, there were 3 staff members who were labeled as ambiance curators. Girl, what does that mean?
That sounds like
in my
great
mind,
job.
It sounds phenomenal, right?
Like master of vibes?
Like, yes. It's like, in my mind, what I think, it's hospitality for Beyonce, meaning when she shows up somewhere, things need to be in order.
Right.
The vibe needs to be correct, right? Beyonce had personal chefs. She had vibe curators. She had trainers. She had all kinds of people on her team pouring into her and the company, right?
Love that.
All of that, when we think about high performance, first of all, please don't compare yourself to these larger than life figures when people are saying you have the same 24 hours, you don't. However, you do have that same potential in you. You do have that same potential Beyonce has. Maybe not to be the queen of pop and to go across decades as, you know, like one of the top performing artists ever. Like maybe that's not your ministry, right? But that same drive of excellence and your ability to care for yourself, to learn what you need, and to treat yourself like a high-performing athlete, that is absolutely possible, right? And so I think your standard of excellence needs to be healthy, meaning please don't assume you have to perform like you're Beyonce, but also please know you do have to take care of yourself. As it relates to the 4 principles of how do you build this business in alignment with your values, you determine your dream life and make that super clear. From there, you rein it in to figure out what do you want to turn into your business, and then walk through the criteria of how to make that business low cost to start, high profit, scalable, aligned with your passions, and something that people already want, right? Then you go into marketing and sales, because if it doesn't exist, or like if it exists and people don't know about it, how can they help you? And also you are serving people even if they can't pay you a dime. Right? Service-oriented, values-aligned marketing and sales. All of these things are great and they're beautiful tactics. If you don't have the energy to execute on them, they're just pretty words on a Google Doc. It's just fun words in a YouTube video, right? You have to have the energy to execute on the things. You also have to have the capacity in your own container to hold that vision and to tell yourself that you're on the right path and keep yourself on that path. Right? Yeah. There's a book I was recently reading. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And Gay was explaining that, you know, at some point in our childhood, our thermostat for how much abundance and happiness that we can hold or that feels safe to hold gets set. And part of our job as adults is to learn how to meet that and grow past it. And if we do not take that seriously, our abundance and our potential will always be capped at that thermostat that we set back when we were a kid, who learned all of these subconscious or conscious things around how bright are we allowed to shine, right? So our inner work and continually pushing that thermostat of how much can we take on, that's critically important. Taking care of our physical vessel, our body, our energy, our nervous system is critically important. Taking care of our psyche, right? Taking the unconventional path comes with inherent psychological stressors because it's different. Anything that is unfamiliar is going to be stressful on the nervous system. And that stress doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It doesn't necessarily even mean it's disordered stress. It can be healthy, natural stress. But when you are putting yourself into environments or on paths that have more stress in them, you have to take even better care of yourself, which is why I tell all of my clients, I call them fellows in the program, all the fellows, I'm like, you have to treat yourself like a high-performing athlete, right? Because the unconventional path comes with more stressors. It doesn't mean you will feel more stressed out. Funny enough, I feel way less stressed now than I did in previous businesses, but I also have to take better care of myself.
Yeah.
And so if I could just give a few basics, I think it's your sleep, it's your hydration, it's managing your stress on a daily basis, it's healthy movement, it is how you fuel your body, and it is also how you tend to your spirit.
Yes.
Those are the things that I think are healthy human basics. And you don't have to go spend thousands of dollars on that. You don't have to go and spend a ton of money on that.
You don't need a team of 2,000 people.
Yeah, you don't need Beyonce's whole Renaissance team. You don't need all of that. Okay, you don't need 3 ambiance curators. One would be nice, but you don't even need it. Okay,
that's a new
you
goal.
Don't.
To have an ambiance creator. An ambiance creator.
Stop it! Don't pun me, because the way I will run with that forever. I love that. Yeah, like we don't have to have 2,000 people on payroll, right? But we do have to understand that there are non-negotiables, and we have to have a discipline about this. This is where some of that masculine energy of just setting your structure really does matter.
Yeah.
Right? And as someone who needs structure but resists it like oil and water, please let me tell you, you still need it. Okay? For all of my baddies out there that are like, oh, but I don't want to feel restricted. Structure is not about restricting you. It's about keeping you focused and saying no to all of the distracting things that chip away at your bandwidth. Well, right?
100%. I was just thinking when we were, you and I, we met when we were at that retreat in Bali. I remember one of the biggest takeaways I got from that was one of our mentors there saying to us, before you touch your business, before you touch your to-do list, take care of your energy first. And whether you have 2 hours to do 15 different things, or whether you've got 2 minutes to take some deep mindful breaths, to speak to yourself empoweringly, supportively, and to look after your body, put on some music, get some hydration, get some good breakfast in you. You've got to take care of your energy first if you want to expand into this expansive life that we're speaking into right now.
Absolutely. I think, one of my mentors said something incredibly profound and helpful for me recently. We were doing some work on why achieve, why be ambitious, why strive for anything. Desire comes from, I think, a few different places. One is the need to feel safe, right? We strive for things that help us feel safe. We also, I believe, have a fundamental value of creation or contribution. Like, we want to contribute. We want to create, right? Like, there's something in us that I think lights up in joy at that. I also think we have this desire to achieve or attain because we feel this kind of, if I can say it this way, like a little bit of pain inside, right? We feel this pain that we believe will be solved once we achieve the thing, once we arrive at the destination. And the way that we can help achievement not become a master of us is to remember that all the safety we need in this world starts and ends with us, right? And our healthy relationships can help us see that. Our, great experiences in life can help reaffirm that. But the safety we need to be loved and accepted can start and end with us, right? And we can find new forms of love in other people or in other projects, etc. But our fundamental job in this life is to know how to love ourselves and find that safety within. And if we can keep that as a separate work and not say, well, I'm going to build this business so that I can be worthy, or I'm going to be in this relationship so that I can be loved.
Yeah.
Right? If we can say, instead of, I'm going to go do this role so that I can feel this inner yearning, and instead flip that and say, I feel this inner yearning because I'm in healthy and loving, exuberant relationship with myself first. And then from that place of overflow, I choose to create, and I choose to achieve, and I choose to be ambitious, right? The difference in how you approach your life will have you, instead of running toward that goal because you're also running from yourself, you can be in a healthy pace and enjoy the entire process. Because I think what's so important that I had to learn through somewhat of a painful journey was that, you know, the safety, the joy, the happiness, the fulfillment, all of it, none of it's at a distant milestone. It's in our daily choices. It's here and now. And if the journey of our lives and creating and contribution and connection, if the journey of it can feel just as beautiful and exuberant in small micro moments as it does at different milestones, we become so beautifully detached from outcomes and so gorgeously in love with process that I think it changes everything. And that, I think that's the unifying thread between all of my work is I want people in love with their process. I want people in love with themselves. And I think it's such a small thing, but if folks took nothing away from this video other than, like, when you first wake up in the morning, to remember that you're a full person and to take 90 seconds to just acknowledge yourself. This kind of sounds goofy, like I thought I was a robot. It's not that I thought I was a robot. I thought I was roles in everybody else's life, or I thought I was the obligations I took on. When I realized I'm Chloe, I'm her, I'm my main character, I'm the love of my life. And when I realized that, not only do I feel the fullness of, like, my body, my experience, my existence, I feel like I can start the day from a place of wholeness and a place of alignment, and everything else is so much better for it. Like, literally everything else. And so if nothing else, I hope that you who watch this remembers you're full and you matter and you are so beautifully of consequence. And if you wake up in the morning and just claim yourself in your fullness, I feel like, girl, I did a job well done. Like, everything else is so secondary to you remembering that you're really her, you're really him, them, like whomever you are, that it's really you and you are more than enough. And from that place of enoughness, you can go create all these gorgeous, beautiful, delicious things. I think you'll have a life well lived.
That's what it's about. That's what it's all about. So beautifully said. I'm so glad we were able to capture one of our deep chats.
I know.
And also, include everybody in the conversation as well. So thank you, Chloe. If you resonated with my girl Chloe over here, if you resonated with the way that she talks about business and success, and I mean, you can tell, right? She's my friend for a reason. She's my kind of gal. But yeah, you're all invited to this free training, this free workshop that Chloe's going to be hosting for us only. It's just for us.
Real exclusive.
I'm just so grateful that I met you a couple of years ago and we've continued our friendship, and now we're our go-to people. We're there for each other, and how wonderful that I can also introduce you to my community and you can be there for them as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this conversation. Yeah, if anybody wants to join us for the training, the link's down below in the description. Totally free. Come and learn. Yeah. I mean, we've only had a taste of what you really, your zone of genius today. But I can't wait to be taking those notes and really learn from you and walk away with an even clearer blueprint of how to not just dream my dream life, but how to plan for it, how to create it, how to strategize it while having a good balanced life at the same time.
Absolutely. And I'll just say to the folks who are watching, one, thank you for your time. Like I take that so beautifully, because you could have spent your time doing a million other things, right? And sometimes showing up gives you the most unexpected blessings. Like showing up to something I wasn't sure about is how I got Lucie. And when I tell you very seriously, Lucie is in my inner circle. This is going to sound so aggressive, but I think I like really have 3 friends that are my go-to people. And I found Lucie as one of my literal 3 friends, and like my corest friends in all of existence, I found by showing up. And it was showing up to a place I didn't expect to make friends. I was looking to solve something inside, and I end up finding a woman who is holding me through so many different seasons, who offers me sisterhood and friendship in a way I didn't think possible. I didn't think it could be this safe. I didn't think it could be this nourishing. I didn't think it could be this goofy. Y'all, the amount of wicked memes we send each other almost should be studied. Right? The Elmo and Flames gif as part of just our vernacular. Like, it's all the things. Yeah, and it was just because I showed up. So I showed up expecting to solve a business problem and literally found my twin flame. So I would just encourage you, show up and just be open to what you could receive. And this path that we've chosen, like we were laughing earlier, like choosing to be an entrepreneur and choosing to be spiritual in our world, it's like, how much further from the traditional path in society do you want to be, right? And sometimes it can feel lonely, but when you show up in these spaces with people who get it and who are on your path, wow, do you feel more normal and celebrated and held. So even if nothing else, show up to feel like you're in your group, like with your people, like to feel celebrated and normal, and like we can be iron sharpening iron. We can go and build something gorgeous and beautiful and not feel like we have to turn parts of ourselves off. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because one of the most beautiful things I've ever gotten in life happened without me expecting it to. And I hope the same for you guys.
Yeah, we never know where the universe is going to lead us. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Same. The link's in the description.
Yeah.
Cannot wait to see everybody there. Lucie, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Chloe. Thank you for your time and for your generosity of sharing so many gems with us.
Of course.
I love you.
I love you so much. I was like, I don't know if I could say that on the YouTube, but girl, I love you down. I love you so much.
Amazing. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring my bell so that you never miss another video. If you're going to sign up for the training, I can't wait to see you on there too. Till next time. Bye.